Let's talk about how much of your marketing budget you should use for a startup. Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan Mills Patrick. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I want to talk to you about understanding what amount of a startup's funding and or revenue you should use in your marketing budget. Now, first I want to tell you that just about every single entrepreneur I've ever worked with, every startup founder tends to completely underestimate the amount of marketing budget that they're going to need in the first place. The common excuse or rationale I get behind this is that they're going to use social media, which is free except for their time, to put information out into the internet and things like that. And they're going to use that to generate interest in what they're doing. They're going to produce some sort of video or post that's going to go viral and everybody's going to find what they're doing. Guys, if that's your plan for marketing, go ahead and stop what you're doing right now. It's just a bad plan. There are ways to do marketing and use social media appropriately, but if it's your entire plan and you think that something you're going to do is going to go viral, it's not really likely. Social media is an entirely crowded space, and you need to use some traditional marketing methods, even if it's just branding strategies and things like that. So here's one easy way you can determine what amount of a marketing budget your startup's going to need. And the way to do that is to use a percentage of the revenue that you have coming in. Now, you may be asking yourself, what if we don't have any revenue whatsoever? What amount of marketing budget can we use? If that's the case and you don't have any revenue coming in, then I would do it as a percentage of the funding that you have available. And that funding could just be the capital that the founders are willing to put into marketing, right? If you don't have any outside funding and the founders are sort of bootstrapping this themselves, I would take some of those funds, a percentage of those funds, and set it aside strictly for all marketing activities. That's branding, online ads, all that kind of stuff. The other thing I want you to understand before I share the percentage that I think you should use is that the percentage of your revenue that a startup should use for marketing is different than the percentage of revenue that an existing company would use. And the reason is because most likely an existing company has established some of their brand, has some momentum, has some word of mouth, has some other things going for them that they can probably use less funds toward marketing. Doesn't mean they don't use any marketing funds at all. It just means they can most likely get away with less as a percentage of revenue. So here's a good example. Some sources say that for existing companies, you should use 6 to 12% of your revenue toward marketing, all marketing activities, where that's for an existing company. Now, if you're a startup, those same sources say that you should be using anywhere between 12 and 20% of your revenue toward marketing activities if you're a startup. So it does vary. The Small Business Administration says to use 8%. I believe that that's typically when you're establishing some sort of projections and budget for the company across the board. And the percentage that you use toward marketing can vary by industry. I also shared some statistics in the actual blog post, how that varied all the way from 4% if you were in energy, all the way up to 24% of your budget for other industries. So the statistics are all over the place. What I'm going to tell you is if you're a startup in your first year, I'd like to see you carve out at least 25% of your budget, whatever that is, outside funding, founders money, whatever it is, 25% to go toward marketing. That should give you enough money to really put the message out into the marketplace and scale as quickly as you can. Now, I also recommend stair-stepping that down a little bit in the following years. In following years 2 and 3, I usually recommend paring that budget down anywhere between 3 and 5% per year. So if you're using 3%, we'd go from 25% in year 1 down to 22% in year 2, 19% in year 1, and then we'd sort of start to flatten out around there. I like at least 15% almost always set aside for marketing, even in an established company. You don't want to lose any edge, and it's just the bare minimum that I think you can get by on. But for a startup, year 1, I like to see at least a quarter of your revenue or available funding to go toward marketing activities. If you're, venture funded, that leaves plenty of money to go towards salaries and R&D and all these different things. But I like the number of 25%. And then I do like stepping that down over years 2 and years 3. I just think it makes sense, much like an existing company. If you've done this the right way, you can take advantage of some branding, take advantage of some word of mouth, and sort of bring that budget amount down, take those dollars and shift them into another place. Hope that information helps you. Have a great day.